Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming back to another video from my family. Today is a very beautiful day here in the mountains where I live. The sunlight is gentle, and the morning air feels cool and fresh. Since early morning, I could already hear birds singing across the hills, the sound of the wind moving through the trees, the soft rustling of leaves, and somewhere far away, the quiet sounds of insects still lingering after a long night. In the city, people probably wake up to the sounds of traffic and busy streets. But where I live, the morning usually begins with the sounds of the mountains and the forest. My name is Q. I am 44 years old, and I am a woman farmer living in a small mountain area of Vietnam. My family is not wealthy at all. Some days, my husband and I work the entire day and only earn around 50,000 to 100,000 Vietnamese dong. If converted to US dollars, it is only around $2 to $4. But farmers here are already used to a life like this. If this is your first time watching my videos, then on this channel, I simply share the everyday life of my family. Nothing too special, just days spent climbing hills to work, simple home-cooked meals, and small stories from people living quietly in the countryside. I am also the mother of 4 children. Being a mother in the countryside is not easy. Sometimes I become so tired that at night, I fall asleep the moment I lie down. But parents are all the same. Everyone hopes their children can have a better life than they did. So whether it rains or shines, whether the harvest is good or bad, my husband and I still continue working every day. We only hope our children can study properly, grow up healthy, and become kind people. In today's video, please come with my family as we go up the hill to cut grass. Life in the countryside moves very slowly. Sometimes just standing quietly, watching the mountains, watching the clouds drift by, already feels like an entire morning has passed. Where I live, time does not move as fast as it does in the city. Everything feels slower, calmer. Some days, all we hear are the sounds of wind, birds, and the sound of grass-cutting blades echoing through the hills. Right now in Vietnam, it is summer. Summer in the mountains is extremely hot, especially when you must work outside under the sun. The sunlight burns directly overhead. Sweat soaks through our clothes. Some days it becomes so hot that standing on the hill feels difficult to breathe. That is why my family wakes up very early. Before the sun rises too high, we already begin our work. Working early helps us avoid some of the heat, because by noon, the rocks and soil on the hill become burning hot. Even walking feels exhausting. Today is Saturday, so I brought my youngest son with us to the hill. His name is Hugh, and he is only 7 years old. Children in the countryside grow up very differently from children in the city. In the city, children have playgrounds, toys, shopping centers, but my son's childhood is different. He follows his parents to the fields, plays with soil and plants, knows how cicadas sound, and watches corn grow from the ground. Sometimes I watch him playing happily in the dirt, running around the mountains, and I suddenly feel emotional, because his childhood is missing many things. But at the same time, I also hope nature will teach him how to become strong and how to respect hard work. Today, the grass on the hill has grown very tall. If we do not clear it, the cinnamon trees will grow slowly because the grass takes nutrients from the soil. Too much grass can also make the soil unhealthy, and during rainy days, it can attract insects and disease. Farmers like us usually cut the grass and leave it around the roots of the trees. After some time, the grass naturally becomes organic fertilizer. It helps the soil stay soft, hold water better, and helps the trees grow stronger. Many people in my village still care for plants in these traditional ways. We do not have modern machines, and we do not use too many chemicals. Most things are done using experience passed down through many years of farming. Today, my husband carries the heavy grass-cutting machine on his shoulder all day. It is very heavy. People may not realize it from watching, but after carrying it for hours, your shoulders become very painful. The machine shakes constantly, and the noise is so loud that sometimes at night your ears still keep ringing. But without the machine, cutting all this grass by hand would take almost a week. The blade is made from thick steel because mountain grass is tough and strong. Sometimes when it hits rocks or tree roots, small sparks even fly into the air. This work is very dangerous if you're not careful. Just one small mistake can cause serious injury. Sometimes I look at my husband bending under the hot sunlight, his back completely soaked with sweat, and I feel both sadness and gratitude at the same time. Because for so many years, he has quietly worked like this every day to care for our family. While working, Hugh suddenly found a small cocoon hanging from a leaf. He immediately called me over to look at it. Children in the mountains are very curious about nature. A butterfly, a bird nest, or even a cicada shell can make them excited for a very long time. I told my son, one day, this small cocoon will become a butterfly. And he stood there watching it quietly for so long. Moments like that make me realize something. Nature is the very first book for children growing up in the countryside. After that, my husband and I continued cutting grass. The sound of the machine echoed loudly through the hills. Large patches of grass fell down one after another. The smell of fresh grass mixed together with the smell of hot earth under the summer sun. Sometimes I became so tired that I had to lean against a tree to rest for a moment. My hands felt sore. My clothes were covered with dirt and grass. Sometimes when I look at my little son walking beside his father like that, I begin thinking about many things. I do not hope my son becomes rich one day. I only hope that, no matter how difficult life becomes, he will remain kind and always love his family. I also hope that one day he can have a gentler life than his parents, a life where he does not need to stand under the hot sun all day or worry constantly about harvest seasons. The afternoon in the mountains where I live, the sun slowly rises higher in the sky, and the air begins to feel hotter. After resting for a short while at noon, I continue with my afternoon work. Look over here, everyone. These are young longan fruits that are still green. Can you see those thin shells attached to the tree trunk? Those are the empty shells left behind by cicadas after they molt. In the mountains, summer is full of cicadas. During the daytime, their sounds echo through the forests everywhere. My family only has 2 longan trees, not large orchards like the ones in the lowland areas. But every year when the fruits grow ripe, these 2 trees still help us earn a little extra money. If converted into US dollars, it is probably not even half a dollar. It sounds very little, but farmers here are already used to that kind of life. Sometimes after working under the hot sun all day, the money we earn is only enough to buy a little cooking oil, some salt, or a few kilos of rice. But trees in the countryside are almost like friends to us. No matter if they earn much money or very little, every time a season comes and the trees bloom and bear fruit, farmers still feel happy, because at least we know all the care and hard work over many months was not completely meaningless. This afternoon, my work is to air layer longan branches. In my village, people in the mountains still often grow new trees this traditional way. First, I gently scrape away the outer bark of the branch with a knife. Then I wrap moist soil around the scraped part and tie it tightly with plastic. If the branch is cared for properly, after some time, roots will begin growing from that area. When the roots become strong enough, we cut the branch and plant it into the ground. Some branches are sold, and some are kept for the family. Usually, it takes around 1 to 3 years before the tree begins producing fruit. Farmers are already used to living like this. Everything in farming requires waiting. Waiting for trees to grow. Waiting for rain. Waiting for the next season. There are many things in life that simply cannot be rushed. Growing trees is like that. Planting something today does not mean tomorrow you will immediately see fruit. It takes a very long time to care for it. People are the same. Sometimes we try so hard, yet still cannot see results. But maybe we only need to be patient a little longer. In the mountains where I live, people live very closely together. Not rich, but full of kindness. Whenever someone has food, they share it with neighbors. If a family has trouble, everyone comes to help. Sometimes heavy rain causes landslides, and the dirt roads become impossible to pass. Then the whole village gathers together to clear the roads. No one pays anyone. People simply understand that living in the mountains is difficult if we do not care for one another. When I first got married many years ago, life was even harder than now. There were no concrete roads, electricity was unstable. Going to the market meant walking very far. Sometimes when it rained, my husband and I wore thin plastic raincoats and walked through deep mud from morning until evening. Now when I think back to those days, I still remember the feeling clearly. It was difficult, very difficult. But those years also helped my husband and me understand and love each other more deeply. People in the mountains rarely say romantic words. We usually show love through actions instead. A husband quietly walking ahead to clear grass so his wife will not trip. A wife saving the better portion of food for her husband after a long day of work. Or simply sitting together quietly outside the house at night, listening to insects, yet still feeling peaceful inside. While I worked, the afternoon sunlight passed gently through the leaves above, the smell of warm soil, fresh plants, and the sap from the branches I had just cut, mixed together in the air. Sometimes, standing alone in the garden like this, I feel time moving very slowly. People in the city might find it difficult to imagine. Where I live, an entire day can pass with only a few small tasks. Yet farmers spend almost their whole lives repeating those simple things. Planting trees, caring for trees, waiting for them to grow, and then beginning again with another season. But maybe because of that, we also learn how to live more slowly. We learn to appreciate rain after many dry days, to feel joy when a tiny new sprout appears from the soil, to feel grateful simply because a harvest was not completely lost. After finishing the air layering work, I moved to the cornfield. Right now, the corn has not even sprouted yet. Only rows of soil with seeds planted underneath, but every day we still have to water and care for the land. That is farming life. Sometimes we must continue caring for things, even before we can see any results. Corn is very important where I live. People in the mountains use corn for many things. Corn can be eaten, used to feed chickens and pigs. Some families dry it under the sun and grind it into flour. Many traditional dishes in my village are also made from corn. For farmers, corn is not simply a crop, it is part of survival. But honestly speaking, the prices farmers receive are often very low. Some harvest seasons, people wake up before sunrise and work for many months, pouring endless labor, sweat, money, and hope into the fields. Yet when everything is finally sold, very little profit remains. Meanwhile, those agricultural products later travel to many different places. They appear in shops, supermarkets, factories. Farmers create food for society. Yet sometimes they themselves are the ones struggling the most. I do not say this to complain, because farmers are already used to hardship. But sometimes I think, maybe if people truly understood that behind a bunch of vegetables, a corn plant, or a bag of rice, there are countless days under the burning sun and countless hours bending over the fields, perhaps they would cherish food a little more. People in the city often live very fast. Fast work, fast meals, everything feels rushed. But farmers like us live more slowly. Not because we do not want a better life, but because when your life depends on trees, rain, and harvest seasons, your heart naturally becomes slower too. People in the city may need many things to feel fulfilled, but where I live, a full meal, healthy children, and a harvest that is not completely destroyed are already great happiness. I think every way of life has its own value. People in cities create machines, technology, buildings, and farmers like us quietly produce food every single day. We may not earn much money, we may not wear beautiful clothes, we may never travel far, but every grain of rice, every vegetable, every fruit in this world carries the unseen labor of farmers standing under the hot sun like us. Maybe many people never think about that, but I always remind myself, the work of farmers may seem ordinary, but it has never been meaningless. Now the sun is slowly disappearing behind the mountains. The afternoon wind feels cooler. I stand quietly in the garden, looking at the wet rows of soil. Inside my heart, I only hope that in a few more days, small corn sprouts will finally rise from the earth. Farmers become happy very easily. Just seeing plants grow a little each day already gives us enough hope to continue trying. Thank you everyone for spending this afternoon with me. A very ordinary afternoon in the life of a woman farmer in the mountains of Vietnam. Nothing grand or extraordinary, only trees, soil, sweat, and the very small hopes of a farming family like ours. I hope that through this video, you can feel the simple peace hidden inside this little life of mine. And thank you so much for spending your time watching my video. I know my video quality is not very good. I know my daily life may seem simple and even a little boring to some people, but I still hope that somewhere inside these small moments, you can see the quiet beauty and peacefulness of life in the countryside. Thank you very much, truly. And if you want, please leave me a comment below so I can know where you are watching from and how you are doing today. Maybe through these small videos, people from far away can still feel close to one another. I wish all of you a beautiful new day, good health, and many happy moments beside your beloved family.